Call meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone is present. Start with February 16th meeting minutes.
You know, I hate to be nitpicky, but
Please.
there were a couple of typos in there. Had instead of hand.
So you're talking about...
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the minutes, isn't that what you just said?
Yep, if you want to kind of direct us to
Okay,
what you're talking about.
they don't really affect the sense of it, but in the first large paragraph, in the middle of it, had instead of hand, a bake Dale instead of sale.
Where's that?
That's under new business 8C. The treasurer's warrant instead of the treasurer's warrant, and the final thing should have been a motion to adjourn, I believe.
7:41.
Just a motion by.
To adjourn.
Yeah.
Did you catch all that, James, or do you want her notes?
I'll just, you can have it. I was just looking through it.
Thank
I
you.
didn't
Any other
even
changes?
mention that. It seems so nitpicky, but.
No problem. That's fine. I'll take a motion to accept the minutes as amended. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of that? 5-0. Acceptance of agenda. James?
Two of those items that have come up. One is relating to our a repair to the alarm system at the library, and the other is a taser replacement for the police department.
Okay. Any other?
Taser replacement at the police department.
Any other changes to the agenda at this point?
No.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of that? 5-0. First open to the public. You can call in to the hotline at 930-8189. Any public at this point? No? Okay. 7A, Shellfish License Report.
I've provided you with a copy of the report that will be going to the DMR, and basically you need to be aware of it. The Shellfish Committee has reviewed, and in consultation with the DMR regional biologist, and we are requesting the following shellfish license allocation for the coming year. And I don't believe it's changed from last year, but those are the numbers that Bob's going to be forwarding to DMR for approval.
That was my only question, if it's any different. Looks
No.
65, I think, has been the magic number for residents and 15 for non-residents for some time now.
Yep.
Any questions on that? Is there a motion? Do we need to
I think a motion to accept it.
accept the report?
I move we accept the report as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Meredith and Doug. Discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of the report? 5-0. Move us to 11th hour. James, you want to start with the library?
Yeah, the first item is a repair needed for the library's alarm system. We have an issue within the box of the system. It's showing a fault at the alarm company, and it hasn't created a problem per se, but if it could create a problem in the future if they're not seeing it. There are two things involved here. First of all, the box itself needs to have an upgrade in the computer in the way that it senses. That is a $1,284.72.
I'm sorry, what was the amount?
$1,284.72. And I would recommend that be taken from library reserve account, which has, according to the audit, $20,924 in it.
So what's the amount needed again?
$1,284.72.
You don't have any thoughts or questions on that?
How to do it?
Want to make a motion, Dick?
I'll make a motion, we approve the $1,284.72 for the bring the library alarm system into working order.
Second.
Thank you, Dick and Meredith, seconded. Discussion, questions?
I'd be willing to go to $1,285.
Jeff's so generous.
Want me to amend my motion?
Oh, go ahead.
26 cents is digging deep there, Jack. 28 cents, you know what I'm talking about. All right, any further discussion on that? All those in favor? 5-0. And then taser replacement for PD, James.
Yeah, one of the tasers that is carried by the officers in the police department is actually non-functional. It's broke, and we'd like to replace it since it's part of the package of how we outfit our officers. It's probably smart to replace it as soon as possible. That's why it's kind of come up in the 11th hour. It's good the chief is here. We do have an account to do it in, and it's the drug forfeiture account, which, I'm looking at the audit trying to find it, has $2,707. The replacement of the device is less than $2,000. And again, this is money that's been sitting for quite a while, and it's an appropriate use of the money, and it is authorized by the board. The chief can't spend it, I can't spend it without authorization.
What's the cost?
The actual cost of the unit, we believe at this particular point in time is about $900. We're not sure if our present holsters that we're using with the present taser will be applicable. We believe the holster will be between $25 and $50.
Okay.
And we'll only buy one because this is a totally different taser than what we're carrying now. This is a 2016 version.
So are you looking to buy a new holster too, or you're not really sure yet?
We'll have to buy, we believe we'll have to buy a holster for this one unit.
Okay, so you're going to do that at the same time?
Yeah, same time.
Would up to 1,000 cover?
If we're going to have shipping from Arizona, if the board would be willing, if we could go up to $1,100, just to make sure that we're covered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just out for curiosity, how many tasers does the police department have?
4.
Is that including the broken one right now?
Yes.
So you have 3 working ones right now?
3 working. So the 3 full-time, just for...
The number of people who
the
be
3
working at a
full-
single time, yeah.
the 3 full-timers, and we have a reserve.
Any other questions, comments on that? Someone want to make a motion to replace it?
Make a motion, we approve up to $1,100 for a taser and holster and shipping
From the drug forfeiture account?
from drug forfeiture account.
Second.
Thank you, Doug and Dick. Questions? Discussion? All those in favor of that? 5-0, thank you. Correspondence, James?
I have one item of correspondence. It's from Woodard and Curran. They have been doing our landfill monitoring for many years, ever since we capped over the old dump site. And we are in a position where DEP is allowing us out of the testing that they've been continuing all these years. But this letter actually identifies that it's not free, never is. Basically, we have to close off the wells that have been drilled to monitor. There's been no violations found in those wells in the 15 or 20 years. I don't even know how long it's been. And it looks like we would have to provide documentation to the DEP, and it's a $5,300 amount to do that. I didn't put it on the agenda. I wanted to introduce it. I think it would be wise, after you go through the letter, to consider letting me know if you want it on the agenda. It can be, we budgeted for monitoring as we have for the past number of years, and that could be applied to it and perhaps tipping fees to finish it off, and then we could be done with this process completely. But I wanted to introduce it before it went on a selectmen's meeting.
Do you know the annual cost of monitoring and reporting?
It's, I believe, $2,300 a year.
So 2.5 years,
Yeah, it would be covered in 2.5 years.
James, the $5,300, is that money that we have to give to the DEP to process this for us? Is this
No.
what it causes to physically close up the well?
This is the physical
Okay.
closing of that project, and we're done with the monitoring.
Okay, any other further questions on that one piece of correspondence? Okay. Move on to treasurer's warrant. I'll move we approve that pending our signatures.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor of that? 5-0. Your report, James.
Public Works, the unusual winter weather has delivered some interesting problems for Public Works. The crew did have to go out and plow and sand several times in February. They also needed to go out and patch potholes. The task is usually reserved for springtime operations. They also needed to work on ditches and drainage after several rainstorms, which is also too seen as a task early spring. The most unusual event they had to deal with was a road cave-in that occurred at the end of Bayview Street where it intersects with Prospect Street. The under drain in this area is scheduled to be replaced this year. The bottom of the pipe rusted out and a large amount of rain caused the dirt and gravel around the pipe to wash out. We were left with a 15-foot round, 6-foot deep hole. We filled it with stone and filter fabric to secure it until we can replace it. In wastewater, Howard and Dan are doing well. Dan Smith started work last month and seems to be a good fit. Carver Memorial Library, the staff is doing well. The furnace was repaired last month and is running perfectly. I will have a proposal to the board to make some modifications to the alarm system, which you just did. The ambulance responded to 43 calls for service in February. Both ambulances are running good. They have already reached 100 calls for service this year. I believe this is well ahead of past years. The fire department responded to 12 calls for service and issued 15 burn permits. The police department responded to 211 calls for service during the month of February. The chief attended the Maine Chiefs of Police Winter Conference, and Officer Dennis Remillard took a week off for vacation. All vehicles are running good. I have no significant news to report from Recreation. The town hall, we were able to get the annual town reports together in time for the annual candidate event. We are still putting more together for the town meeting, and we expect to make around 500 this year. We will also have warrants printed and ordinance changes ready for the town meeting. In committees, the newly formed Maritime Heritage Day Committee met and is developing ideas for the event. We certainly invite anyone who wants to participate to join us. Our next meeting will take place here at the town office on March 11th at 3 p.m.
Is there a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Meredith and Jack with the second. All those in favor of that? 5. Selectmen's reports. Jack, you want to start us off?
I have nothing tonight, Jeff.
Nothing?
No.
It's unusual.
Mark the time and date. Meredith?
Yes, I wanted to comment on the fact that the Maine DOT came and made a perfectly wonderful presentation. I think most of the selectmen were there to see it. A lot of people from town came. And I was so very impressed with the presentation. It was very well done. They came in and they had a great map that went from one side of that room to the other. A very detailed map of Route 1 from the beginning of the project to the end, with all the properties marked off so people could see exactly where the work was being done relative to their own properties and so on. And they gave us about half an hour or so to study that and ask questions. There were people there to answer questions. And everybody did look at it and were very interested in it. Everybody sat down and a presentation was given, and there was additional time to ask questions and answer questions afterward. And for people who were not comfortable speaking in public or asking questions in public, they had cards that you could mail in with postage paid pre-addressed envelopes there. And the amount of information and the forthcomingness of it was wonderful. And it's my hope that Searsport will take a note from that, and that in the future, hopefully, projects that are done in Searsport and being proposed to Searsport, we will be this forthcoming and open with people of the town so that they will know, and that there won't be worried about what is being done that they're not aware of. I just was very impressed with the Department of Transportation, and I hope we can learn from that. I also have another thing to say. This may be the last meeting that I'll be on the board for, because the polls will be closing in about 45 minutes. If I have not returned to office, I'd like to thank the town of Searsport for their confidence, and it has been a wonderful experience, and whether I'm elected or not, I think that this experience will make me a better citizen. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Meredith. I also have heard positive things about that presentation. Are they doing another one at some point in the future? I have questions about.
Absolutely. Their plan is to come back with, I believe they called it the. They were a bit reserved in calling it the final plan, but what they envisioned
It's called
to
the
be
preliminary plan.
the next is the preliminary, and it'll be later in the spring, early summer.
Okay.
And
so you don't have a date just
and
yet.
at some point, our committee itself should be getting together, maybe finding a way to solicit information from the public as to what we want in our part of the plan, because they're not, they've set aside, it's fully funded to set aside $5 million to go into this project, but it doesn't cover everything. We have some responsibility, which this board has, or previous boards have already committed us to, as far as removing the power lines from downtown. But there are just some decisions to be made as to what kind of surface we want on our sidewalks. They're certainly recommending a brick type sidewalk to keep with the antique look of downtown. But we also have to decide on what we want for lighting, because we'll be putting up, when the poles are gone, we need to have some lighting for downtown, and there'll be street light, lamp post type street lights. And so there's some work that we'll have to do in between, and I'm hopeful that the committee was energized by it. And again, it's also going to be very important that the committee realize that it's the town's decision greater than themselves. But I think a lot of great things were talked about in that meeting, as Meredith mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful. The first thing they said is fully funded. That was the best statement all night.
You had asked about the dates. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, James, I think they said that the plans will be finalized in 2018 and work will actually start in 2019. Is
No,
that?
the plan will be finished this summer. They hope to start in 17, and it could wrap up in the beginning of 18. If we're so weather dependent in the state of Maine, if it were this year, they could start building now, and we could avoid the tourist season. But next year,
There was something about finishing up in 2019.
no, 18 was the.
I'm assuming it was televised, right? It was upstairs, or where was it?
Televised. It's on record.
It's going out at least once a day, because I got a call from a party that was
There's
interested.
so many questions I received. I think it's good that it's and it would be online too. So maybe that's a good place to direct people.
It was wonderfully done, though. It was very impressive. Everybody was smiling when they left. And
Good. That's good.
very good.
All right. Only thing I had was touching on Election Day. Polls close at 8 o'clock. So if you're hearing this, you haven't voted, please vote. And the other thing is, James, the heaves have started early. The trip up and down my Ephraim's getting a little bumpier. And the problem spot on my driveway has come back. If you could fix that too, that'd be great. But maybe get the heave signs out.
Yeah, we actually signed our posters today.
Yeah, it's early.
They should be going out
It's all
tomorrow.
early this year. So that's all I had. Doug.
As a member of the revitalization committee, I thought that was the best meeting we may have ever had with that DOT, and I've been to several of them on this issue. Ernie, I don't remember his last name.
Martin.
Martin ran a wonderful meeting. Very, well, it wasn't contentious, and we've had a few of them. One point is, I think we need to do some research. So they will pay for the, as I understand it, James, correct me if I'm wrong, they will pay for the sidewalks, but not the brick. Is that?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
If we want to upgrade beyond what is there today, it's on our dime. So we should be, we have a little bit of time. Of course, we're not going to be able to do it in this meeting, in this town meeting, but we should be thinking about how we're going to deal with our reserve account. We could, if we're fortunate, we have a lot of road needs right now. We have several roads that are going to need to be fixed this year. Sometimes we can hold off on some things in order to save some of that money for the next year, but definitely when it comes time, we can deal with that in reserve account.
My point about the sidewalks would be, I think we have to do some research. I hope we can see somewhere where they've done the brick, because this is Maine, and a lot of people are reluctant over the brick, and it's, as I understand it, it's just the downtown area, not the outskirts of Route 1. So it's 1/3 of the area that they're doing. Well, I would like to brick. I think we have to figure out a way to research this or find a place they've done it.
I actually asked him early on about the brick, because he posed that over a year ago to me, and I said, I'm not sure that the town of Searsport wants to do this, because we clean our sidewalks with the snow blower, and bricks and snow blowers don't go well together.
Shovels and bricks don't go together either.
They have done this in other areas. Lincolnville has brick on its sidewalks, and they pave below it. It's actually a paved surface, and then the brick goes on top of that. So there's no ability for that brick to shift independently unless there was a rupture or something defective in the pavement below. And he says, very solid, very stable, the way they've come to do it now. I also want to throw out there that we do have currently $22,000 in our sidewalk reserve account, and that basically is a reserve account that would go to offset the cost. I'm not sure if that touches it, but I'm sure as we get along into this, we'll know a little bit more.
But am I correct, James? I just want to make sure that everybody knows what we're talking about. They would pay for the base,
yeah,
but we would pay for the bricks. Is that correct?
The base is basically what we have today. We have, bituminous asphalt laid below, on top right now. They would just, when they replace it, they'd lay that down, and then we'd upgrade with the brick. So you're right, we would pay the difference, or we'll get asphalt again. But that's a decision.
Right, but you're saying it's concrete.
Well,
it's a concrete base. Would they pay for that part?
Well, no, that's what tar is called. What they call it is bituminous concrete.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that.
Basically, we have now.
Yes, what we have now is what will go back in, but we'll put the brick on top of it.
Oh, so we are responsible for putting the brick on there, not just getting the brick, but installing the brick?
Between the, well, it would be part of the big project. We just have to pay the difference.
Okay.
Just like they also let us know that if the water district wants to tie in their project of replacing the water mains that were installed in the early 1900s, we can roll that into the contractor's price, and that can save the water district, and in turn the residents that are on the water district, some money.
And they're talking about that, right?
Yes.
But that's mentioned.
Definitely a plan. They have to replace a line that's east of town and a small portion west of town, because there'll be a moratorium over digging that up in the future. So if they had a water main break after they lay this brand new pavement, it would cost the water district a good deal of money to make a fix, and we want to make sure we're not involved in that.
Thank you.
Anything else, Doug?
Yep.
Dick?
Just to carry on what Doug was talking about, I think we gotta get started on what we want to do, because when them poles come down, we've got to have the new lamps that we want, and we've got to wavy wiring underneath. We can't tap power off of the poles, not with the new ones that will go in, whatever we decide on. And that line's got to be run from somewhere, and it's got to be needed. It's going to be different, but we have the time in 2016 to do this stuff, and I think we should be looking at it as soon as we can. The other thing, I had a talk with Kerry Cross. The Fling into Fall Committee had their first meeting. I don't know whether you went to it, James.
I didn't make it.
It was very few attended, and she said we need volunteers. this has been going on now for 15 years or better, and if we want to keep it going. People burn out, and every year everybody's a year older, and if there's anybody out there that wants to take part in it, get all the Carrie Cross, you can connect with her right through the town office, and volunteer, bring some ideas in, a good back, and try to keep that program alive. That's it.
Thank you, Dick. Okay, open the public, viewing public. James, no calls. Public, second round. Please state your name.
Suzanne Farley, Searsport. I just got stimulated listening to the conversation about the sidewalk, and it occurred to me that if the group wanted to consider something kind of innovative that might put Searsport on the map, why not consider some of the new solar technology that's being built into roads and possibly sidewalks, and that could fund your lamps. Might be worth looking into, or some other neat thing. I mean, they have things where music's built into sidewalks, you know. No, I mean, why not? Why not think out of the box and put Searsport in sort of a different, way? Why does it have to be bricks? Especially if Doug doesn't like bricks anyway, so,
Yeah, just
Anyway,
worried about, I'm worried about the
throwing that
maintenance.
out
I
there.
love bricks,
Yeah.
actually.
The other thing that I did want to ask about was I just wondered, where are we at with the survey? The survey that will tell us all what the people of Searsport would like to see for Searsport's future.
You're asking me?
Yeah, and
I'll answer that as as a member of the comprehensive plan committee. As we've announced a couple of times, we haven't had a March. We didn't have a February meeting. We're having a March meeting. I don't believe it's scheduled yet, but it should be scheduled this week, and that will be discussed. And I advise you to try to attend the meeting.
Or tune in, they'll be on TV too.
will you be,
It's usually the fourth. We try to do it about the fourth Wednesday at the end of the month. We can't always because there's so many meetings we have to work around.
so do you anticipate being able to come back, to the selectmen's meeting, be able to report out in April then? Is that what the thinking is?
I think we can. I'm not the chair. I'm reluctant.
Oh, I see.
George is in there too. George Cooper is the chair.
I think the results, any written results would be available to the public.
Still would be nice to
A full
present
discussion
it,
at the meeting.
Yeah.
I think what I wanted to say, I think that it would be at the meeting.
Okay.
They should be done by then,
Cool.
Hope so.
if not already. And I'd be happy to, at the next selectmen's meeting, after that meeting, I'd be happy to discuss it then too.
That would be great. I know a lot of people are curious.
Any other open to the public before we go into executive session? Yes, Bud.
I just wanted to make a comment on your brick question.
Just state your name real quick.
Bud Rivers, Searsport. I put in a stone patio before last winter, and I cleaned it with my snow blower 2 winters in a row without any difficulty. And mine is on a stone and then sand base with sand in between the bricks to seal them so they don't move. And it's held up real good.
To make it clear, I wasn't making a judgment, and I don't know a lot about this.
I just thought I'd get
And
my...
I've seen them go bad too when they're not done right, but
I will say one thing, I have cement steps, and that snow blower has broken my cement steps several times. So that's kind of and I don't know. We gotta talk to people, and I think we need some options, and I like thinking out of the box. And we need, I hope people come to our next revitalization committee so we can get some ideas. Nothing set in stone on those two issues, the lights or the sidewalk.
that's true. All right, any other open to the public before we go into executive session? Okay, if not, then I will move at 7:30 that we exit regular session to executive session in accordance with 1 MRSA 456F, confidential records matter to discuss a general assistance matter, and 1 MRSA 456A, confidential records matter to discuss a personnel matter dealing with the police department.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of that? All right. Thank you, folks.
So I have a motion by Doug, seconded by Dick to exit executive session at 8:30. And re-enter regular session, because you have a vote on WP 1602.
1502?
1602.
Oh, I wrote it down wrong.
I said 15, but it was 16.
Okay.
You can make a motion.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
And that's for 700?
700. Correct.
Okay.
Motion been made and seconded, take 700. Worthy poor. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
4-0.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?